Hey guys, Garth97 again. This time with a review of the 1/100 scale Berga Giros Black Vanguard color scheme from the F91 movie. Why did I only make the Black Vanguard color scheme? Well, keep watching and you'll find out. Problems start with the color scheme itself. It's not black, it's a very dark blue, and instead of purple, we have a lavender color. So that's not really good. It doesn't look as good as it should. Would have been a lot better if it was more of a darker purple color instead of the lavender. So now we even have some lavender joints. Fantastic. Lavender thrusters gets even better. So yeah, color scheme could have been immediately somewhat better. Of course, you could always say that, hey, you can't paint it since it's a model kit, you should paint it, but still, if they're going to mold it in a color, why not just mold it in the right color? Also, we have gray for the polycaps, and to wrap it all up, we have clear blue for the eyes, which is a very nice thing that the F91 kits have going on. For stickers, we get quite a lot of them, and the most interesting ones and the coolest ones are these two black ones here with the Crossbone Vanguard symbol that go on both the shoulder flaps. Then we get to the worst stickers. We have these two here that go onto the knees, and here we immediately get the problem that these stickers, well, they don't like to stay on the surface all that well. And then there are two that go on these his breasts. Yeah, these are especially bad. You can really see that those stickers don't like it. Also the one on his stomach, once again, same problem. Stickers just don't like to stay. Also, this part here should be purple too. And then, oh yeah, the ones that wrap around the arm, these are actually decent. Not too much problems with those. So yeah, those on the arms and on his shoulder flaps, those are by far the best normal stickers. Then, as with all the F91 kits, we also get water slide decals. We get some Crossbone Vanguard insignias, some extra decals to go on the shoulders. And then we have the standard ones. Be careful, thrust comes out here, cockpit is over there, in case you didn't know that yet. Be careful for this, be careful for that. And some pretty weird English. Caution, TSL, emergency, fluid perhaps, point. Caution TSL, emergency, salute point. I have no idea what the bloody hell that's supposed to mean. But hey, at least they spelled everything right. Except perhaps slud. Ah, whatever. Now we're going to the articulation. Head goes a little bit up, a little bit down, not a lot of movement. Turns around about that far, unless you're really going to force it, but that's still all you're going to get. Also, it's not on a ball joint, so it won't go side to side, it's just on a hinge. Then the arms, quite surprisingly, go forwards and backwards. So that's a real shocker for a kid this old. Fortunately, that's the only good point this kid's going to get. It turns around all the way. This flap here, it goes up, and the arm goes out about that far. And it had a great shoulder joint, but for some reason, the arm itself won't rotate side to side. Pretty much every model kit has that in one way or another. Either they have like an elbow joint that's like cut off and it turns around there, or it's below the shoulder joint, or somewhere. Like the only kits I can think of on the top of my head are the old Shorts counterattack kits, but other than that, even the original ones have rotating arms at one point. Oh, the elbow itself, still get only that far, that's not quite 90 degrees. The hands are on ball joints, so they will rotate around, go up and down, and do everything a ball joint does. The hands, typical F91 hands. You've got the bottom three fingers molded together, and then the trigger finger separately. There's a little gap between them, and they can make a fist quite decently, let's put it like that. No waist movement whatsoever. These wings kind of look like a cloak. Have a little bit of articulation. Go in and out, so they do have some flap movement. Go like that on a hinge. And that is about all you're going to get. So they can kind of, yeah, a little bit like the Justice. So yeah, it can be like the Justice, or it can flap like a bud. Then going to the front skirts, they are molded separately, but even though they move, they don't move a lot. So the legs go forward about that far, and that's already forcing it a little bit, and backwards about that far. So that's less than stellar. So side skirts actually move a lot more than the front skirts, but that wasn't necessary at all because the legs only go out about that far, which is still kind of decent. And go side to side about that far. Bend at the knee at one joint for an abysmal bend. That's absolutely atrocious. And it's not like it's bulky or anything. That's just a bad joint if I've ever seen one. Then the foot guard. This is one of those joints. This is one of those joints. Oh man, this is one of those joints where I'm not sure if the joint, well, if it's actually a joint or if it's just the model kit that's a little bit not quite sturdy. So it goes up by that far and does give the foot a little bit extra forwards movement. Also goes backwards quite nicely. A little bit side to side. And unlike what you might expect, it doesn't rotate around all the way because it does get stuck because of that lavender thruster back there. So the articulation on the shoulders was awesome, but the rest is pretty lackluster. Not that great. We had a great start, but we ended, quite a scissor. Then going on to the accessories, and unfortunately things aren't really getting a lot better there. The first accessory, once again, when we start with it, it looks fantastic. The shield is really gorgeous, nice detailing all over, but things start falling apart when you want to attach it. As you can see, it doesn't line up that great. Well, the problem is, you can't properly connect it unless the arm is bent all the way like this, and then it just barely goes together, which means that if you want the beam shield attached, it has to be like this or like bent backwards like this, because the moment you move the arm out even a bit, it's going to clash with this here and it will go south. So that's really, really unfortunate. And the bad news doesn't really end there. Oh yeah, this is also where the arm articulation is really bothersome because he can't even really use it to protect himself. He can put it a little bit up like this, but yeah, the shield, it doesn't really work because it's, well, the kit kind of lacks the articulation. The shield doesn't really, well, it doesn't really fit in there good. So, and even the connection it has, it's not that great because it only uses the outer tips of these rods, of these plastic rods. So the connection itself isn't that great either to begin with. So it's really, really unfortunate. You've got this fantastic looking shield, absolutely gorgeous, but it just, yeah, it's just a bit too rough around the edges, quite literally as well. Unfortunately, things don't get a lot better with the Shot Lancer. Starting off with the colors, you'll immediately notice that. Why is it lavender? The Shot Lancer should be black or very dark blue, and steel, gray, silver, or whatever similar color you can come up with. Anything but lavender. Of course, you could always make the argument, yeah, it's a model kit, you have to paint it. But then I say, if you're going to mold it in a color, why not just immediately mold it in the right color? So it goes into the hand rather well. You kind of fight with it a little bit until it wraps around. And then, as far as I can tell, it all boils down to luck. Sometimes you just get it right and it's in there extremely well. And other times, that happens. So essentially what you do is, you just keep trying to put it in there until it sticks. Or until you figure out that if you move this flap down and you make sure that it rests against the shot lancer, that it will also stay in. So that's essentially what you want to do if you want the shot lancer to stay in one place, pretty much. And really, I haven't figured out how to do it correctly, or how to do it just doesn't make any sense. It really seems to depend on luck. One cool thing the shot lancer can do is it kinda shoots out, like the shot lancer should. So that is one redeeming quality the accessories have. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? Well, this is one of the most expensive old F91 kits, second only to the F91 itself. And I'll be honest, this is pretty much my least favorite of the entire bunch. For, of course, the reasons I've just mentioned, but more importantly, for one reason I haven't yet mentioned, but you might have picked up already. And that is the proportions. For some reason, this kit just looks a bit too dwarfed to me. It just looks a bit stumped, kind of like somebody fucked up on the aspect ratio, like YouTube did with my older videos. So, combined with the lavender of the color scheme, I find that the badassness of the original mobile suit is kind of lost with this kit. And then when you combine that with multiple other problems, such as articulation problems, the accessories that in theory are pretty good, don't work. It's all kind of falling apart a little bit. So then once again, when you consider that this is one of the more expensive ones at 1,000 yen, sure, that's not a lot, but well, given the other kits that retail for mostly 800 yen, this just, I can't recommend it at all. Seriously, even if you like the original mobile suit, I just find that, yeah, there's something lost here with this kit. And you can always say, well, color scheme, you can paint it over, but you can't simply change proportions of a model kit. So yeah, as much as I wanted to love this model kit, I really like how this guy should look, the way the liner looks. But this model kit, no, it just doesn't do a good job of it. And those fantastic shoulders just aren't going to save it here. So unfortunately, yeah, this, and like I said at the beginning, this is why they didn't make the normal color scheme. I guess I'm not the only one who didn't like this guy. So yeah, a bit unfortunate, but yeah, every once in a while Bandai does fuck up too. So for some size comparisons, here we have him next to a normal 1/100 scale. As you can see, it is a pretty small mobile suit, but for F91, here is next to the heavy gun. For F91, it's still a pretty sizable mobile suit, only a tad smaller than the heavy gun, which is one of the bigger ones. And then next to the Vignagina, as you can see, that's also probably partially the reason why it's a bit more expensive, but as far as accessories go, and the overall value, you're much better off getting one of the other F91 kits, seriously. And then finally, compared to a normal 144 scale. And that's all for this review, and see you guys next time.